Okay, guys, good evening and welcome back. And this is Mark 134. Mark 134. That is, what's that title again? Okay, excuse me. Okay, principles and practice of public relations. Principles and practice of public relation. Where you might have ideas of what public relation is all about, but you don't know how to go about it. Who are public relations? What do they do? How do they do it? What are the rules that guide their operations? What are the institutions that regulate their operations? That is all you will learn in this course. Principles that guide public relations. Well, the course is divided into 14 units, not quite much, and the units are subdivided into modules. Very short material, just 150 pages. And it's just a 2 unit course too, not a 3 unit, just 2 unit course. What are we expecting in this course? Okoro Chamerian, you are welcome. Good evening. So in this course, we'll start with module one, where we will talk about the meaning and scope of public relations. What does it mean? Who are those that practice it? How can I qualify to be a public relation officer? And then you, under that module, in order to achieve the meaning and scope of public relations, we will learn it under some units. The first one is definitions and components of public relation, which is also referred to as PR. Public relations are also called PR in short, as a function and philosophy of management. We'll also talk about public relations network. We'll talk about functions and careers in public relations. Why study public relations? What is in it for me when I study it? And then in unit 4 of module 1, we'll talk about the publics of public relations. While in module 2, as we move on the study, we will talk about evolution and process of public relations. Unit 1, in order to achieve the evolution and process of public relations, we will study it under 5 units. Unit 1, historical origins and pioneers of public relations. We'll also talk about history and development of public relations in Nigeria especially. And in Unit 3, we'll talk about the media and tools of public relations. How do the public relations achieve their job? What are the tools they use? Then we'll talk about the research in public relations. And finally, in that module 2, we'll talk about the organization of public relations functions, their setting up, and the departments we have in public relations. So in module 3, we'll talk about public relations in practice. And to achieve that, we will study that under some units. In unit 1, planning and executing a public relation program. Unit 2, public relations for non-profit organizations. In Unit 3, writing and speaking in public relations. Unit 4, law and ethics in public relations. And Unit 5, public relations and society. And then that brings us to the end of the material. Don't forget, it's a 2 unit course and it's basically going to teach you everything and anything you need to know about public relations. Yes, you're welcome, class captains, Grace, Dora, Mr. Case. So this one is all about public relations. Well, I know some of you might have encountered people that are into public relations, but probably you don't really know much about what they are doing or why they are doing what they are doing. This course is designed to help you. And in one way or the other, you as a mass comm student, you have a tendency of being a public relation officer in one way or the other, because you will learn that when you know the meaning of a public relation officer, or sorry, or the meaning of public relation. When you know the meaning of public relation, you will find out that in one way or the other, you eventually, as a mass comm student, become a public relation officer. So, Unit 1 of Module 1, we will talk about definitions of public relation, the components of public relation, and then philosophy of management. And the main content in this unit will be rationed into the definition, the component, and then, of course, the philosophy and then misconceptions of public relations. What people think public relations are, but they are not. Those are the misconceptions. So we'll talk about it. Now, as a form of introduction, many scholars and practitioners have presented various definitions of public relations based on their knowledge, experience, and perspectives. These definitions would assist you to appreciate and evaluate the role and functions of public relations. One thing common to this definition is that public relations is undertaken to create and sustain goodwill and harmony among the various entities and institutions of the society. Well, the introduction is very clear, just trying to tell you, create a picture of public relation in your mind. The main purpose why we have public relation is to sustain goodwill and harmony among the various departments or entities we have in the society. And of course, the introduction created a picture there that we have many scholars have given definitions of public relation, but they all define it separately based on their own experience, the way they think, their perspective. However, regardless of who or how a definition came about or who gave a definition, there is a thin line that tends to connect all the definitions available for public relations. And that thin line is that the main aim is that public relations sustains goodwill and harmony. So, objectives. Why must I study this unit? When I finish studying this unit, what is the school expecting me to know? What will they from this unit or on this unit? So, one, you should be able to recall accurately two or three definitions of public relations. In other words, they will give us several definitions by different people, but you should at least be able to remember, recall three of them. So if we have like 10 definitions, they're expecting you that if you don't know at all, know three. Then you should be able to explain the basic ideas common to all these definitions. Well, you should not be surprised at that objective number one that says know at least two to three definitions. You should be picturing in your mind already that when they mentioned in the introduction that many scholars have given different definitions of public relations, which means we will be expecting in this course that there will be different meanings of public relations based on different scholars' perspective. So the second thing, explain the basic ideas common to all these definitions. The introduction already gave us that too, that the basic idea that seems to connect each of those definitions is that public relation tends to what? Sustain harmony. I think it's not, well, it sustains harmony, but the primary word used there is goodwill. It sustains goodwill and harmony. So then you should be able to come up with your own definition of public relations derived from the ones stated below. Having gone through the different definitions we have from different scholars, when you look at their point of views, you should be able to come up with your own point by saying, okay, I think I agree with this person. Because when we look at what public relation people do, I think from my own perspective, public relations should be this, should be this, should be this. So you should get to that level at the end of this unit. Main content, and the first thing we'll be talking about the definition of public relations. You'll be mentioning a lot of names in this course, so please open your mind, but don't try to cram. You don't need to asking questions on this that so you see, please, I think there is a reason why they prioritize that definition. If you oh, sorry, you guys are just level. The last semester TMA we did, they asked question on these people's definition. In TMA, questions came out on the definition by Cutcliffe, Center, and Broom. Okay, for Cutcliffe and Cutcliffe, Center, and Broom, according to them, in a book, they wrote a classical book, Effective Public Relations, in 19 and Broom in 1994 wrote a book titled Effective Public Relations. And in that book, they gave a definition of public relation. And according to them, the management function that establishes and maintains mutual beneficial relationship between an organization and the publics on whom its success or failures depends is what we call public relation, according to Cutcliffe Center. Excuse me. Okay. Sorry, I think my network was a bit fluctuating there. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to give you an icebreaker. Okay. This my icebreaker may not work because we don't have enough space. Okay, so let's try that and see it. And then what is this? Okay, I have another icebreaker. I want to test you guys on. Okay, so let's answer those two questions while I continue the reading. So, from these people's definition, let's try to understand it, not cram it. According to them, in 1994, they wrote a book, Effective Public Relations. But in that book, of course, when you are writing that kind of book, you need to define your topic. So, according to them, public relations can be seen as the management function that establishes and maintains mutually beneficial relationship. That means from both sides there are benefits between an organization and the publics on whom its success or failure depends. Which means if I will succeed as an organization now, my customers, those that are patronizing me, I'm largely depending on them. And if I will fail as an organization, I'm largely depending on my customers or consumers, as you put them. So how do I establish a relationship that will be of benefit, that both my customer and I myself will benefit from? That is public relation. That is where public relation comes in, according to Cutcliffe, Center, and Broom. The management function that establishes and maintains mutually beneficial relationships between an organization and the publics on whom its success or failure depends. So this definition clearly underlines the fact that public relations is a two-way process. Why? There is a mutual benefit on this part of the organization and also the public itself. So between an organization and its identified publics that is meant to benefit both parties. In other words, mutual understanding requires, by definition, two-way communication, which I explained the term publics in another unit. So that is the definition by Gottlieb, uh, Center and Broom. Gottlieb, Center and Broom. The management function, beneficial relationships between an organization and the publics on whom its success or failure depends. Why the BIP is also British Institute of Public Relations. They also have a definition for public relations. The BIPR also came up with their own definition of public relation. Now let's see what they say about public relation. It's a very simple thing. So what did they say? According to them, public relation can be seen as the deliberate, planned, and sustained effort to establish and maintain mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. Deliberate, planned, sustained. Once you see those words, you are talking the British Institute of Public Relations. They said that public relations can be seen as a deliberate, planned, and sustained effort to establish and maintain mutual understanding between these ones to use mutual. That's kind of two-way things. Understanding between an organization and its public. So this definition suggests that public relation is not a kind of haphazard endeavor, something that is just happening anyhow on its own. Just go like this today, go like this tomorrow. No, it is planned. Public relation is planned and it is sustained. It is deliberate. You have to plan, you have to know what you want to do, you have to be intentional about it, you have to plan it. According to BIPR, British Institute of, they own that definition. Okay, so and according to them, sustained effort means that a process does not end until it has achieved its objectives. So, sustained effort in the definition by the British Institute of Public Relations, BIP, means that why stop this network. Let's have it back. And I think that's affected my screen. Let's share it back. Seems network is tired already. It's become a cliche now. So that is what that means. It means as a public relation officer, you must always endeavor to carry out plans to end, despite any difficulties you may encounter in the process. Despite any difficulty you may encounter in the process. Okay, you guys should give me a few seconds. Okay, so what I was saying, we'll move to another definition. Already you know two definitions by now. The one from Gottlieb, Center and Broom, and the one from British Institute of Public Relations. The third definition tonight is given by Frank Jeffkins. a British author. Frank Jeffkins says public relations consists of all forms of planned communication, both inward and outward, between an organization and its publics for the purpose of achieving objectives concerning mutual understanding. Let's create a very local picture of these things so that you understand, so that all these are grammar that they are using to define it doesn't choke you up. When you are talking about public relations, for instance, let me use the school for example. Now, you know that now they are serving the general public, students, people who are interested in joining the school. So those people that are interested in joining the school and known itself, there is a need for a kind of linkage become student of known and known as an organization itself. So we need some people to take on that role that will be representing known very well, so that people that are outside the organization who will become potential customer, buyers of product or user of the services that the organization is rendering will be able to get the best available options, improvement and everything from the company through its public relation officer. And then the company will also get feedback from them, because when you have good public relation with your publics, like the word they use for the consumer, let me not be using the consumer, you guys are not doing economics. So the publics is going to, you are going to see the effect on your sales. You will see the effect on the company returns. So the man Frank Jeffling says, well, public relation consists of all forms of planned. You should know that some of the authors or some of those people who defined, or those scholars now, they are using the word planned. It means it doesn't just happen anyhow. It's not something that happened from the organization to the public, two-way thing. And why is that happening? For the purpose of achieving objectives of mutual understanding. Oh, my network is so bad. Okay, I think guys, we might not dwell much tonight. I don't know why just now, and it was fine during the last class. I'm trying to share it back. Let's just try to do this part and finish. It's not a big. We are just, first of all, we have Kotlib, Center, and Broom, followed by the definition by BIPR, which is British Institute of Public, followed by the definition by Frank Jeffkins. Now we are statement, another definition, a Mexican statement. Now, how did the Mexican see public relations? According to them, is the act and social stabilizing trends, consequences, counseling organizations leaders, as well as implementing a planned program. There is one common word I've been saying in all their definitions so far. Planned. Planned. It was, so it has to be planned. A planned program of action which serves both the organization and the public interest. Two things is kind of, we have been seeing a common line in all the definition. One is planned. The second one is that this thing is a two-way thing. Is a two-way communication. Is a two-way communication. Oh, we have a situation. We have a situation.